So, guys, welcome. I'm Anthony, Mark. Kind of, you don't see a lot of us these days, I don't think, but yeah. So, Meteora20. How about that?
That's
it's a
right.
thing. That's a thing that's happening. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago that we were here doing this for Hybrid Theory, but it's been 3.5 years.
That's really hard to believe considering the hybrid theory one literally felt like a month ago, and we were here. What a different set of circumstances. We were here drinking beers and discussing the hybrid theory box set, and
Yeah, I have a lot less whiskey in me this time, and by that I mean I actually have no whiskey in me.
that's
It's
right.
very sad. I don't have any.
We can do one of these and cheers a beer when the box set actually comes out and we've watched everything once
You
or
know,
something.
that might be a good idea.
Yeah. But
So,
all right, so you have a list.
I do. Well, let's just recap kind of everything that's happened the last few days. So, actually, let's go back a little further. So, all through last year, I kind of remember the vibe being like, are they going to do a Meteor 20? And I kind of thought they weren't. Just because Mike had kind of said in the past that he'd like to do one for 1,000 Suns eventually, but that kind of seemed like his extent of being interested. And then when was it? Right around Christmas that we started getting some rumblings that this might be a thing, and then
Right. So
yeah,
that was definitely a thing that Mike was leaning towards, just saying, like, I remember him saying in the Twitch chat during COVID in one of the streams, people were like, "Oh, you're going to do a box set for Meteor," and this was like, this could have been 2 years ago now, right after
mm-hmm.
Hybrid Theory 20 came out, and he basically made it sound like, "Oh, I'm just the most interested in doing 1,000 Suns," kind of hinting at, "Oh, maybe not do Meteor," and that's probably before discussions even began to do Meteor, but.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, here we are years later. I'm glad they're doing it. Um, there were some leaks, which are always exciting, and that's right up our alley. And now
Sure.
it's officially announced, and here we go.
We were very good and didn't leak anything this time. We
Yeah,
were
now in our older, can't figure out technology selves, leaking anything is not really part of the deal anymore. So
no,
we're
no,
very old and relaxed now.
and have a lot of other stuff to do too.
Yeah, we're actually busy with life instead of busy with leaking Linkin Park things, but
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
I'm busy like waking up to take my kid to school and oh no. There we go.
That's funny. All right, so where do you want to start?
Yeah, so we kind of started getting it was that LPU email that went out in January that had like the picture of Delta and like they're talking about why LPU was delayed and looking forward to some stuff, and the fact that they used that picture from Meteora was kind of, we were like, oh, they're going to be doing this,
Right.
or at least that was what we assumed, and that turned out to be right. There was the whole countdown to the teaser thing, which was a little, I got kind of annoyed about that. But
That's funny.
um, just because we thought, so like we have this LPLive staff chat where we're kind of just spitballing amongst ourselves, like when do we think stuff's going to happen? Because like generally, like we might have an idea that something's happening, but like we don't really get a lot of advance notice. So it's like, okay, I'm assuming at the end of this countdown is when they're going to actually announce the Meteor thing.
Right.
And we were all ready to do this like that day 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. And no, that's when we got the puzzle on the website with like you find the key on the shelf, except the key wasn't on the shelf. You had to type the word shelf in the URL.
It was the countdown to the countdown.
Yeah, yeah.
I would be interested in sometime in this process. I actually don't know who was behind the band's website teaser, but I thought it was a great idea in general, and there were a lot of really cool like teaser things in there and little hidden clips for Linkin Park fans. But I'd be interested in getting that person, whoever that was, if they're willing to come on and talk to us, like explain more about it. It seems to me like maybe it was cut short just to get the release out, or the announcement out, but you know, it seems like maybe it didn't go the entire length that it was scheduled to go. I'm really not sure,
Yeah.
but I
I
like.
just actually noticed today. Oh, there's another post-it note. There's another post-it note that was added at some point. There's like where it says, "Thanks, we'll meet you at the warehouse on Friday." It says, "Sorry, we got lost. See you Monday."
Mm.
So
So maybe it'll keep going. Maybe so that could be part of it. So maybe it'll keep going throughout the the lead into to April or something.
okay, yeah, and then the link takes you to the TikTok teaser and the little phone that says there's something open on this phone. If you click check it out, it takes you to the Discord. So they've added a couple more things on there.
Okay, so that to me that indicates that it's going to keep growing and keep evolving.
Yeah.
Maybe it just wasn't a traditional like the hybrid theory one. So maybe it wasn't like a build up only to the announcement. So maybe it's
Yeah.
something that just ongoing
I'm
keeps
still
going.
wondering if we will ever get anything that we actually get to do with the crowbar.
Yeah,
Nothing to smash around here.
that's funny.
I still think that's just a reference to Forward with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
story
absolutely.
of Mike smashing the CD burner and that
Right.
being sound on the record. I still wonder if that's actually true, if that's the sound they used, or if I don't know. So yeah, so we got Meteora20 coming out on April 7th. The format is it follows the same format that we had with the Hybrid Theory one, almost to a T. You've got the three different versions. You got the deluxe CD, the deluxe vinyl, and then the deluxe box set.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's run down the package and then we can talk about like Lost and the music video and all that stuff.
yeah, sure. So I'll just hop on the. I'm just
That's
gonna
funny.
hold this. I'm done. I'm done.
That's funny.
If I had a newer phone that didn't need to be charged all the time, this wouldn't be a problem. But okay, so I actually have the website pulled up here. So we got 5 LP. This is the super deluxe one. It's $200. So same
Yeah.
price we had with Hybrid Theory, which it's still. I'll say the same thing I said last time. Like $200 is still $200, but I've seen box sets for other bands go for a lot more than that. And with all the talk of how much inflation's gone up, especially in the U.S. over the past few years, the fact that the price didn't go up is nice.
Yeah, it's definitely a very good price point. If you were to just, buy, if you were to put every single piece of audio and then the video, converting that audio into like a list, and to pay $1 or whatever to
Mm-hmm.
buy all that, it'd come to way more than $200. There's just
Yeah,
so much content, especially with the live shows.
yeah,
So much less all the other physical items you're getting. So to me, $200, $200, but what you're getting for $200 is still an incredible value. And to me, someone that's so interested in the live stuff, it just seems
mm-hmm.
like the bang for your buck on this one is remarkably great.
Yeah. And I think just in terms of the overall content on here, like I'm more hyped for this than Hybrid Theory, mainly because
Right.
in terms of the demos and stuff, like a lot of the stuff that was on the Hybrid Theory box set had been floating around out there,
Right.
and it just had never been released officially. But if you look at this Lost Demos disc, literally nothing on it has ever been out before.
Yeah. Unbelievable,
Yeah.
because Hybrid Theory had leaks all over the place for stuff, not like all at one time, but throughout the years. And because the band was just starting, so many of those demos we had, and then maybe like half the CD or so we didn't have, and then just to
Mm-hmm.
see this one with 14 songs that we'd never heard of before, and then the first 3 have vocals on them, which Meteor is one of the albums where there's never been an extra song from the sessions that has come out with vocals. I mean, we have 1,000 great LPU demos. I'm not saying that it's bad
Yeah.
we have the LPU instrumentals, because they're awesome. Shout out to Cumulus, but we just don't have the vocals on those, and with the release of Lost, we finally get one.
Yeah. Yeah. And um, so we'll get back to that in a second. I just wanted to
Yeah.
I'm just going in the order that it's listed on the website. So there's 5 LPs. You get Meteora, first thing I want to point out, Meteora is on one vinyl here. That's never been a thing before. It's always been a double vinyl.
Oh, the record store day one was 2 vinyls, right?
I think it was, yeah. I might want to double check because I didn't actually get that edition, but yeah. And Meteora is like, it's slightly shorter than Hybrid Theory. It's like 45 seconds shorter or something, so it fits on one record.
Okay.
They just, for whatever reason, release it as a double, like back with the original release. So, and I think that's a good move here, just because then it's one less thing to put in the box, and one less thing that you got to manufacture and potentially jack the price up.
Right.
So then we got Live in Texas, first time ever on vinyl.
That's great.
Yeah, that one's a double vinyl. Also, I'm looking at the, I don't know how much you've looked at like the pictures of the box set, but the second vinyl for Live in Texas, the cover is like the inverted color scheme.
Saw that.
Yeah, that looks really
Love
sick.
it. Yeah, that's a really cool idea just to change it up. I mean, anytime you can change the format of something visually like that,
Yep.
no matter how you do it, that's good. I mean, Live in Texas has not been released in audio in full ever.
Ever.
So just
Yeah,
on the DVD.
that was the next thing I was going to point out. So if you ever bought like the original edition of Live in Texas, there were only 12 tracks on the CD because the other 5 were on the LPU CD for that year.
Right.
But this has the full track listing, which that does raise the question of, are they just using the same mixes that they use on LPU3? Because if
Probably not, because it's probably a DVD rip, right? Or from the source of the DVD, you would think.
That's what I would assume, is they just took the audio from the DVD.
Right.
But like if they, took the LPU CD versions and then the original CD versions, like how would that affect like the transitions between songs? Is kind of just, that was where my mind went on that.
Yeah, the LPU3 CD is mixed differently, obviously, because transitions are different. And then I feel like, and this is just me talking randomly, but I feel like maybe 10 years ago or so, we thought that maybe one of the song versions was a little different than the one on
Yeah,
Live in
Don't
Texas.
Stay.
Don't Stay.
If you watch Don't Stay on the Live in Texas DVD, and then listen to the one on LPU3, there, like during the bridge, I forget what he yells, but Mike yells something to the crowd, and it's not the same thing that's on
Okay.
the DVD. So I don't know. This has never been confirmed, but like the thought that we had was that the DVD is from, like the audio is from one show and the video is combined from 2. But maybe the audio on the LPU CD was from the other show or something. I don't really know.
Got it. I'm sure that whatever they press to the record is going to be a straight rip of whatever the original source is for what, the DVD or whatever they decide. I'm sure it's going to be great. And that's good to have. And it looks like that's coming to digital streaming too, which is huge because Live in Texas is such an iconic, epic release for the band for their first live CD and DVD.
Yeah, so, and that's a good point too. So like the LPU3 songs are not on the LP rarities thing on here, but we effectively get them on streaming anyway because they're going to be on the Live in Texas. So
yeah, so that's big.
Yeah. Then we've got Live in Nottingham 2003. So this was one of the first audio shows I remember getting back in the day.
Absolutely.
This is one of the LPU tour shows from when they first went on tour to support Meteora. They started over in Europe and played a few shows over there. Then they came over to the States and did like MTV $2 Bill and stuff like that. So we've had a recording of this for a long time, but it's a radio recording that aired after the fact. It wasn't like a live broadcast. And the version we have doesn't have session, easier to run, or hit the floor. But this does, which is a big deal because it's actually the first like official recording of Hit the Floor Live that's ever been a thing.
Right. That's very interesting to me that we have both the radio broadcast and then I think what happened was the radio broadcast was from that CD, right? The Warner CD.
Yeah, yeah.
So they mixed it down to that, and then that's what aired on the radio afterwards. And we have a rip of the CD as well. And
Hmm.
so at that point, you're like, did they just, this is 2003. This is not, Minutes to Midnight, A Thousand Suns or later. Did they just toss those songs? Because that's very possible. Did they just cut session, hit the floor, need you to run, and they're
Yeah,
gone? But no, they're there, and this is the first time the show has ever been released, but also the first time we've ever heard the show in full.
yeah. And I'm assuming it's the same like source as the recording we have. It just has those additional songs. Um,
Right.
and let's not sleep on the fact that Easier to Run is there either, because there's only one official live recording of that. There's the video from the LPU. What was it? Four?
Four.
Yeah. And then there's an audio recording of that same performance. It was a B-side on one of the singles.
So, okay, I don't think I knew that off the top of my head. I think so. But so the Easier to Run LP4 audio uses the same audio that's the bonus track on the single, whatever single it was, and the
Yeah.
digital. Okay, because the video is a mix from multiple shows, which is a common thing. They do that often with the
Yeah.
video mix from multiple, which is totally fine because you want a great video. But
Yeah.
I don't think I knew or paid attention to the fact that it's the same audio. That's good. It's a good performance. I mean, Easier to Run gets a lot of hate, but I think that's a great performance of the song.
Sure. Yeah, I've always found that song to be a little more musically interesting to me than some of the other ones on the record. So,
Absolutely. Nottingham is interesting because Chester had a really bad day that day, and the BBC report says like he punched a wall in the dressing room or something
oh
before the
really?
show.
I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah, it was a disaster, I guess, for him before the show. I don't know what was going on, but during the show, that's some of like the best Chester speaking and banter. I mean, it's very R-rated, kind
Chester's
of surprising.
he's very vulgar on that show.
Right. And so his speech before Place for My Head is kind of cut. So I'm very interested to hear the rest of that. But also, when Chester was in some of those bad day moods, his performances on stage were pretty damn elite. So
Yeah.
if you listen to like One Step Closer, the ending scream on that from that show, absolutely fantastic. And overall, like the crowds always in England are really great for Linkin Park, and they have such a diehard fan base. But I mean, that show, the crowd's going crazy. Chester's feeding off of it. They do a great job when they have an explosive crowd, feeding off the crowd, and he's just talking all the time. It seems like Mike kind of cuts him off one time or something, but overall, I mean, that is a really great show. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's also not a very big room that they were
Right.
playing, because this was LPU tour. It was all like smaller venues or small-ish venues. They were smaller theaters and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's a good one to release. I honestly would have guessed that they would have done Detroit, which um, we'll get into that.
Yeah,
I'll touch on why Detroit and Rock am Ring I'll touch on why it was good to pass on those
sure.
to go for these shows when we get to the 2004 shows.
Yeah. I just looked it up. Rock City in Nottingham has a capacity of 2,000, so it's a pretty
Yes,
small theater.
that's great. It's a really good show. I listened to what we have of it the other day and was like, yeah, this is a good one.
Yep. Okay, so that's all the vinyl.
Okay.
So then we got 4 CDs. You got Meteora, LPU Rarities 2.0, kind of the same thing that we'd had with Hybrid Theory. It's just all the stuff from the Meteora era that's been released on LPU over the years. So that's a whole bunch of songs that have never been on streaming before.
Probably could argue that that's a better quantity of or quality. That's a true personal opinion, but I love the Meteora extra instrumentals more than I
Yeah,
like the extra Hybrid Theory. So, I mean, Hybrid Theory, they're still finding themselves and finding their sound, but Meteora's extra tracks are like really good to me, at
yeah.
least.
It and it gets a little samey to me sometimes if I listen to all of them like back to back, because like they're all instrumentals,
Yeah.
but they're all really good. It's also a bigger disc. It's like 19 songs.
Yeah,
on
that's
that
surprising.
series. Um, I looked
Anything that
over.
stands out to you on that track list?
Not really, other than it's the first time Attached has been available on CD.
That's right, because the LPU, was it 15 or 16 that
15.
Attached was on?
Yep.
Yeah, that was the LPU that was different, and they released 6 songs on the CD, and then the next 6 came one a month digitally, right?
Yep. Yeah. Sorry.
So that's good to finally put that on a CD. That things like that are very important to me, and I think 2 of the other ones were on the Hybrid Theory 20 disc, right? So 2 of the remaining 6,
Yeah.
at least. It could have been 3. What do you have the track list pulled up for that LPU CD? This is random, but
LPU 15. I was gonna say I can grab my CD, and then I was like, wait, no, because they're not on the CD. We just established that.
that is funny.
um, Track listing. Well, when you Google it, the Linkinpedia page is the first thing that comes up.
Finally, we're getting somewhere with the wiki a
Yeah,
billion years later.
there were 3. There was Hurry, Gur, and Chair.
All on Hybrid Theory.
Yeah, and then Attached
Okay.
is on this one. So the only 2 left are Grudge Match and Too Legit, which were both 1,000 Suns.
Oh, we'll get to. Okay, great, perfect. So they'll all end up on a CD release sometime. I'm glad that that CD didn't have something from like 2015 or 16 because
Yeah, yeah,
that would be forever before we got that.
right.
So that's good.
So we
Do you
got
have on that CD? There's A6 and then A6, both on that one.
uh
LP Rare Disc.
yeah, A.06 specifying because there are 3 different versions of this song on this thing now.
How did you say it in 2003 and 4?
I
How
used
did
to
you say the
say
title of that song?
A06 because
Me
I
too. I said that.
yeah. Um
I said A06 until maybe a few years ago.
and then I think eventually I started saying, well, it's probably A6 is more correct because you've also got figure 9, which is sort of the same idea. And then we got LPU 9 where it's spelled out A-6. And I was like, well, crap, now I got to go
Right.
back to the way I said it before just so I know which one I'm talking about.
I think I changed it when there was a recording of the very first Summer Sanitarium 2003 show in
Mhm.
Michigan that came out, and that was I believe that's the only time I've ever heard Mike introduce the song Figure 9. And once I heard him say Figure
Yeah.
9 instead of Figure '09, which is how I said it forever, I was like, then it's probably A6.
Yeah, that was one of those songs that when they played it, it never really got an introduction. They just would start the song.
It could have been that literally the only time at that first performance. I mean, they played Vegas right before that, so maybe those only 2 times that it ever got introduced live.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, remember us the other night trying to figure out when Mike stopped doing the reanimation thing on One Step Closer?
Oh my gosh. So, of anybody, I would figure the 2 of us, me asking you a very general question, I was like, I listened to 2 One Step Closers back to back, and I was like, surely I'm hearing something wrong here. Like, when did Mike stop whispering the shut up on the One
He was
Step
doing the
Closer
blood
bridge
sport
live?
thing during the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the whispering the shut up in the build up, and then the blood is pouring
Mm-hmm.
on the bridge.
Yeah.
Right. So
he did it all through the first half of 2003, and we figured out he did it the first 2 shows of Summer Sanitarium and then stopped. And
yeah,
this is one of those things that between the 2 of us, we would have thought that we would know the answer to. And we
that's
spent,
something that was so random.
yeah. And it wasn't until like the middle of 04 that he consistently did it again.
You were saying that maybe he did it that K Rock show at the end of 2003 with Sonny from POD, and then maybe a few times on the arena tour.
Yeah, well, the one at K Rock was interesting because I never even noticed this before. I've listened to the show a million times and never noticed it.
That's a great show.
That Sonny was doing the shut up screams and Chester was singing the blood is pouring part. Which,
man, that's great.
Yeah, that was, they flipped that on its head there. I just never even, it never registered with me.
This is the time that if we had a professional studio, we could just clip in the clip there, or
yeah, insert clip here.
Okay. Without, that was just a little sneak peek into the stuff we talk about, because I'm like, hey, just so I know this, what happened with this, and then we'll go for hours and hours and hours and hours and days and
Hmm.
say, oh my God, Mike did it here and there, and just that's the makings of how we built the site.
Right. Except
Okay.
it's all just text documents in plain text. If you were like an OG
That's so true.
if you were an old OG LPLive person and remember, the site was literally a white page with text on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because none of us
So
knew how to make a website.
yeah, that was a good look into the making of how we figure things
Yeah,
out that we can put on the website accurately. So there's a lot of internal discussions that go on about that. Was a very interesting one because Mike did not do that consistently live, and I guess there was no real rhyme or reason to it, but we figured it out, so
yeah.
that's good.
So then, and that'll kind of lead in nicely. So we have CD3. It's live rarities 2003 to 2004.
Okay.
So this is a little interesting because actually the last three songs on it are also from LPU4, but
Okay.
I think, I mean, I haven't added it up, but with there already being 19 songs on the LPU CD, I think that they didn't have room to fit it all on one disc, so that's why they did it that way.
Oh, to put a shorter amount of songs on a second disc is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because what we got here is the first 7 tracks are all like B-sides from singles. You got Lying From You, From the Inside, Easier to Run, all live from the
Okay.
LPU tour. There are the Step Up and My December songs, which are actually from 2002. They were on the Hybrid Theory tour, but they were released as the B-side to the Somewhere I Belong single. So
Okay,
Hybrid Theory era, but they came out during Meteora.
got it.
Um,
Okay, that's good.
there's the Crawling from Reading Festival 2003. That's a really good live track, by the way.
Man, I know. I was listening to that Crawling the other day. Reading Festival 2003. I mean,
That's one that I would
it's silly.
have gotten on this.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that in the box set. I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and say, man, in 2003 and 2004 and onwards, when we used to watch that terrible quality video of the guy holding his camera up the whole show, it was so epic. But it really was. Like Reading Festival 2003 was such an iconic show.
Yeah,
Chester is blowing up, saying even the LP TV episode I watched the other day,
yeah,
trying to figure something else out. He's like, this is a show I'm going to tell my grandbabies about. And they're like arguing backstage about how many people it is, like 50, 60,000 people. They were blowing it up at Reading 2003. So putting Crawling on here is a great move.
I saw Wesley just say .rm files. Remember Real Media, Real
Oh
Player?
my gosh. Oh my gosh. I feel so old when I tweet something that's like, oh my gosh, it took me back in the day like 5 hours to download Don't Stay Alive at Rock and Ring. People are probably like, there's no way.
with
But
the
it really did.
with the videopimp.com like
Yep.
ad at the
Yep.
beginning and end of the video.
100%. The links that we would go through to get shows back in that era during the Meteora era was unbelievable. You would start like an AIM, AOL Instant Messenger transfer of just the audio for a show, let that thing run for 5 or 6 hours.
What me
Someone
and you
calls
would
the
do,
house, it's over.
we would get on MSN Messenger, and who like if we were sending like a hey, I just got a new recording of this show, you just hit the file transfer button, and each individual file would send through MSN Messenger, and you just leave it up and let it go overnight. That's how we
Right.
do it.
It's unbelievable because now you can literally airdrop things. Technology has gone so far, but the links that people, including us, would go through just to get the shows and the media, and LP was like on top of the world at that time. So recordings of shows were so popular, and the fan base was exploding, and the
Mm-hmm.
shows were so popular, even in terrible quality back then. I mean, this was such a big thing that's just not around at all anymore. But it was absolutely a blast to be a part of because you're like, oh my gosh, I have the first night of Tokyo, and I want the second and third, things
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Or no, that's the bad quality rip of the show from Paris. I want the other one. Yeah.
Right. And so
Um,
all these shows have just become so iconic to us and to all these people that were around at that time. So
yeah,
it's good to finally, you know,
yeah. There's
it's
also
come full circle.
yeah. I said it was the last 3 songs. It's actually the last 4 songs on here, all from LP4, because there's also Breaking the Habit from Rock Am Ring, and then
It's great to put a Rock M Ring song on. Okay, so I am strongly in the corner that they didn't need to put Rock and Ring 2004 in the DVD portion, but they
Same.
needed to represent it somehow. And that's a perfect way to represent it because that is a phenomenal Breaking the Habit performance.
Yeah, well, and with Rock and Ring 2001 that was on the Hybrid Theory one, what we got was such a massive upgrade in like video quality compared to what had existed.
That's right.
Whereas the 2004 one, by the time that aired on TV, like the video capture methods had gotten better and they had professionally mixed the show. So if they were to put that on there, yeah, sure, it'd be cool to have a copy of it on DVD, but it would also be just the same thing that you already had.
Right. I'm strongly in the corner of I would rather have an unreleased, as epic as, I'll sit here all day and argue Rock and Ring 2004 is one of the best Linkin Park shows of all time. And it is, and there's so many we don't know of that could be much better, but of what we have, that's one of the best shows of all time, and I listen frequently. But a lot of people don't know that the version that is out there that we all have, the band, whoever on the band's team or label took that and professionally edited it video wise and audio wise. There's a rumor Mike touched the audio.
I think
He
Mike
for
did
sure
that. Yeah.
he for sure 100% did the Detroit 2003 MTV $2 bill. He posted that. So somewhere along the line we got the info that he touched the Rock and Ring 2004. But regardless, everything about that broadcast is flawless. So in my opinion, they've already quote unquote released that show. It's on TV. Everyone has it. It's on YouTube, millions of views. It's already out there. So
Yeah.
as cool as it would be to put that in the box set, and as many people saw a lot of comments today asking about it, but I'm like, we've never heard anything about the Manila show or
Exactly.
Denver show.
Yeah, if you were to put that on there, looking at what we have that we did get, it's like we'd lose another show that we've never seen.
Right. And you're working with limited. I mean, I know there's 6 shows on the Meteora box, which is actually more than I thought they would put it.
Yeah.
I'm maybe more ecstatic about 6 shows going on that box set than anybody, but
Sure.
the fact that we're getting shows that are completely unknown, like it could have been an easy thing to do to just throw Detroit on there, even though there are some missing songs from the broadcast. Sure. And
Right.
it could have been an easy move to throw Rock and Ring on there. They went with, that's a semi ballsy move, in some aspects, if you want to look at it like that, to put shows on there that we never even heard of.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was gonna say the reason I forgot that Breaking the Habit was on LPU4 is I always think of it as being on that Project Revolution sampler.
Me too.
Yeah.
100%. That was the PR04 sampler song for sure.
Yep. Yeah.
What else? It's the hip hop medley.
Yeah, Step Up, Nobody's Listening, It's Going Down, Wish, and One Step Closer with Jonathan Davis. Those are all 2000.
That medley kicks ass. I listened to that the other day.
Yep.
Man, just the sound quality. One day I hope they put the audio, and it would be so silly if they just put the 4 or 5 LP songs out from that Roxy show, but the audio quality is so good.
I know.
Like, imagine how awesome those songs sound from the Roxy.
Yeah, so I think some of the people might not know what we're talking about here, but the version of Step Up, Nobody's Listening and It's Going Down that's on LPU4 and also on this Live Rarities disc, that's from the show where Collision Course was recorded, because
right.
Linkin Park came out and played, what was it, like 4 or 5 songs by themselves before
Right.
Jay-Z came on stage, but then they didn't put any of that on the Collision Course DVD, except for that the one little clip of It's Going Down, which was on the MTV Mashups, like, intro. So yeah.
Right. I mean, that quality of that live track is so good. You're just like, it would be the iconic Don't Stay. I mean, I say that now, there's probably just the coolest one ever on the box set coming up.
Probably.
One day it would be nice to have that full Roxy. I don't know how you would even do that, because imagine doing like a 20-year thing for Collision Course. It must be a nightmare to even do something like, even though that's the LP set, like you would have to include the Jay-Z thing. So it may not even be feasible, but
yeah, and I think
at least we have that track.
We also didn't get LPU5 on this. That says to me, yeah, they probably don't even want to touch the Jay-Z stuff, just because it would be more of a hassle than it's worth to.
Yeah, there's really no need to do that because we already have it. And, you can argue back and forth all day. Did the Meteora tour end in Brazil in '04? Technically, yes. And then there's the 205 shows and 406 shows, 506
Yeah.
shows. But you could argue it all day. But for the sake of the band and what the band said at the time, I mean, they have it right on the box set, stopping at '04. That's correct. So I'm glad they didn't include the live. And side note, I don't even like the mix on the LPU5 CD. So
I don't either. I was really disappointed with that one. Just I don't know. The sound doesn't do it for me on there. Um,
yeah.
Also, we
All
figured
right.
out last time that it boots us off after we've been streaming for an hour. So
Oh, did we really?
yeah, yeah. So I'm just keeping an eye on the time because we started.
What a terrible feature on Instagram. How is that a thing?
I don't know. Your lives are limited to an hour long, and then it just ends.
Okay, we'll start back up. Anyway, so then that Wish kicks ass, and that One Step Closer is like, there probably will never be a One Step Closer better than that ever. I mean, there could be on the box set, but
Sure,
that one is epic.
that one's really good. Um, in terms of stuff that's missing, we did figure out there's another One Step Closer from the LPU tour that was it's on the Meteora Tour Edition cassette, which I've got over here somewhere. But
Is that the only thing on the entire box set that could be missing is one of the One Step Closer performances?
yeah, or at least that I figured out. I mean, unless like there's some demo thing that isn't on there that we wanted, but I can't think of anything.
Yeah, so that's fine. I mean, at the end of the day, we have it, and then also the LPU4 one they put on there
Yeah,
is ultimately the best One Step Closer there ever was. So,
yeah. The one
all
we're
good.
talking about, it was also on the Faint single, and I think where they might have gotten confused on this is that it was it's not anymore, but at one time it was a digital bonus on Reanimation. So like I think it was on iTunes and Spotify and stuff.
Where are you saying? What about the 2002 song? Oh, you said they're the bonus tracks on the One Step. I mean, the Somewhere I Belong
Long,
single.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, it all gets confusing to me because we knew all these tracks from one set of releases, and then in 2012 when everything went to iTunes, like bonus versions and stuff, everything got so confusing to me because you would
yeah,
take tracks from different eras and put them with eras in the future from those eras, and it's just so confusing.
yeah. Don't get me started that they made Blackbirds and A Thousand Suns track.
Yeah. Well, okay. At the end of the day, I can see why they would do it because 8-Bit Rebellion came out so
Yeah,
far after minutes. There was nowhere else to put it, and so when you're making A Thousand Suns, I mean, I'm sure there's an epic A Thousand Suns B-side or a finished song that we'll
sure.
find out one day. But if stuff that was out, I can understand why they did it. It is kind of frustrating. People associate Blackbirds with A Thousand Suns, even though it's from Minutes to Midnight. But it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So then we've got the last CD is Lost Demos, which if you remember, the one on Hybrid Theory was called Forgotten Demos. And I'm like, so are they gonna like keep this trend of it being referencing song titles?
No Roads Left demos.
No, Little Things demos. I don't know.
Grecian demos.
But anyway, so
That's a holy grail CD right there.
yeah. Um,
Do we have time? Yeah, we have enough time. We have 15 minutes, so we can
yep.
run down that entire CD easily.
Yep. So we've got Lost, which is the song that was released earlier this weekend.
Yeah, we'll get to Lost.
Yep. Although,
Unless you want to talk about it now.
well, sure. Yeah. So Lost was a song that was fully finished when they did Meteora. They went all the way to the end of the process. Andy Wallace actually mixed it when he did the rest of the album. And I'll talk about this a little bit later, but there are actually two different mixes of it that we're going to be getting. So this is a newer mix that they did this year.
Sounds like Mike did it, right?
I thought I saw somebody say that Manny did it, Manny Marroquin, but
Now, I did see that. I saw Manny touch something too, but then I saw Mike's community app message went out and it said it's something in first person. Maybe he and Manny worked on it together. I mean, obviously Mike supervises every mix that's done for something, so I'm
Yeah.
sure it's a combination.
Yeah. So in terms of, we'll say that this was actually, Mike said this in the Discord chat earlier, that we figured out that this is kind of like the picture board of this release.
Did he really say that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Discord chat was kind of funny because at first somebody actually asked about thoughts that take away my pride. And this is a thing that happened when we talked about picture board being called Be Yourself. The band doesn't know what that is because that's a title we gave it.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah. I
never
mean,
called it that.
there's no way. It's funny today. I heard that segment where they read the question and then couldn't figure out what it was referring to.
Yeah.
All these fan titles have been used for so long, decades now, that it's funny when you think back that they legitimately are nonsense. Like there's nothing to what we call them. You just have to call it something because there's nothing else to call it by.
Yeah, and that even goes back to like there are people who still call the hidden track on Hybrid Theory EP ambient, even though
Yeah,
it's never had a title. It's just,
that's right.
if you look in the booklet, it just says track 7.
Yeah, ambient or secret. I remember that from,
Yeah, and
man, that was legitimately in the Hybrid Theory days. People were calling it that.
yeah, and I thought I might have a chance to find out what the title of that was. I asked Jeff Blue the other day, and he said he didn't remember. I was like, if anybody would remember, it'd be him. So
Yeah, on the Twitch when Mike talked about, I remember that Twitch stream he did. Someone asked him a question. We can have a whole chat one day about how we got so bored during COVID, we started coming up with a way for someone to redeem a question every day to ask Mike about the song, so we could therefore fill out Linkinpedia for every single song. And I am appalled that we literally missed like 1 or 2 songs from Mall soundtrack, and we got everything else.
Yep. Yeah, we missed like one of the Meteora demos and maybe something else. But
Oh,
anyway,
got it. So anyways, yeah.
Lost is thoughts that take away my pride, but that lyric isn't in the final song. It was a demo. They said in the Discord chat that they thought it was the bridge. I think it was actually the chorus. But yeah, that was a chorus that Chester recorded, and that's the clip that you get where he messes up and starts going, ah!
Yeah.
It's literally like a 5-second clip.
Yeah. It's cool to see what the lyrics are now.
Sure.
And what he was, what the idea was there, because those lyrics also fit the song really good. This is never going to be a thing where I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to have that demo of it. That might not even exist, but it's just cool to know that that's what it was.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm glad we're getting it.
Yeah, going down the track list, the next one is Fighting Myself, which Mike actually gave us a little bit of info about today. He said that he's kind of looking forward to that one, and that it's another song with vocals and it has rapping on it.
Okay.
So
that'll be good.
It'll be a good 1-2 punch at the top of the CD. More the Victim, Massive, Healing Foot. Those are all titles we never knew before.
The third one has vocals.
Healing Foot has vocals?
No.
Oh,
the third song.
More the Victim? Okay.
Yeah. Saw that somewhere, whether it was the New York Times article or somewhere today, I saw that song has vocals.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and they said in the Discord that there's at least like 4 or so songs that have vocals on here.
Okay.
Other than demos of songs that made the album. So
it's probably literally the first 3 in A6.
Yeah, that would assume at least that. The title Healing Foot's kind of funny because there's another Meteor demo called Broken Foot, which is definitely a reference to when Brad broke his foot on the was it Family Value?
No, it was the random one-off. There was like a radio show right before that in San Diego. It was like a radio thing. But yeah, the articles about that show say that Brad kicked a steel door backstage, broke his foot, and you watching the DVD with a terrible name or whatever from Hybrid Theory 20, you can see him like limping around and he has to like wrap his foot up. So
and he's like leaning back on the stage to kind of sit down and not put weight on his foot. Yeah, there's a few Family Values tour like bootleg videos where you can see he's like hopping up and down on one foot, like just to put any weight on it.
Yep.
Um,
So now it comes full circle with Healing Foot.
Healing Foot. And some people are like, well, is it a Broken Foot Part 2? It's probably a totally different song. They just probably,
You just have to have a name for something. It's like
yeah.
us. It's like the other side of it. So they have to title it something. We have to title it something.
Yeah. So then we have A6. This one's just the letter A and the number 6. Um,
Looking forward to that.
so that's a third demo of that one. And we don't know this for sure, but we know that that song did at one point, they at least tried to put vocals on it. And that there's that little clip of Chester singing Just Drag It Out on Making a Meteora. Brad actually confirmed in one of the old LPU chats, we just missed it for a long time, but he said, oh yeah, that's from a song called A6. So that may or may not be on there. Hard to say, just because we would have thought the same thing about Thoughts Take Away My Pride being on Lost, but it wasn't. So who knows?
Yeah, we can't assume things like that. But it would be nice. If not, if it does have vocals, great. I noticed track length time, it's a little longer than the LPU9 one. So that's it. So
Yeah,
it's somehow a different, it's not just like the LPU9 one
with vocals,
hypothetically with vocals. Right.
have something different about it.
Right.
I was wondering because like the short, like 1 minute long A6 from LPU2, the second part of it isn't in the long demo. Like it doesn't show up.
That's right.
So I'm
That's
thinking
right.
like maybe that is worked into this version somehow. I don't know.
Okay.
So then we got a whole bunch of demos of songs from the album. We got Cuidado is Lying From You, Huskies Hit the Floor, Interrogation is Easier to Run. We've got a Faint demo that's different from the LPU one. It's also almost 4 minutes long, which that's interesting because Faint is like 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
Right.
It's a pretty short song, so that's gonna.
Didn't the Meteora booklet song description say that the song was like half the speed or something, half the tempo?
Yeah, the when Brad wrote the guitar parts, he thought it was going to be a lot slower or something, but I don't know if that's the version we got or if it's just something where it's the same speed, but it goes off and has like a whole different part.
Okay.
Plaster 2, which is figure 9. That one, I'll get back to that one in a minute because there's something I want to say about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
And then Shifter, which is from the inside.
Okay. We didn't. So right before you say that, I'm going to say that we have been guessing at those titles for what songs they're going to.
Yeah.
For like literally 20 years. So
so
to have all of them confirmed within the announcement of the track list, besides like Serpent and whatever the other one was, Nocturnal.
Yeah.
To have all those confirmed at one time is pretty cool.
Yeah, and for people that don't know what we're talking about, there's I forget if it's on LPTV or Making a Meteora because there's so much footage that was used in different places, but at one point you can see the board on the wall in the studio that has all the names of the songs that they're working on, and they're all demo titles, and all these ones that we just listed are on there. And then there's two more that actually three more. Nocturnal is one that we didn't get, and Serpent is one that we didn't get. We also know that the demo title of Don't Stay was Sick, so there isn't a Don't Stay demo on here, but we know what the title was.
Right.
And
I'm a big proponent of hold a few things back in case you need to save them for the future. So if something like that does exist,
sure,
I'm sure we'll get it one day.
Yeah, and if you look at what songs we will now have demos for versus ones we don't, we don't know what Nocturnal and Serpent are, and we don't have demos or titles for Numb or Nobody's Listening. Like, logically speaking, you'd think that those two titles just go to those two songs, but we don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
And then there's also an interesting thing with Plaster 2. So the title's a reference to One Step Closer, the demo title being Plaster. If you look on that track board that we were talking about, there Plaster 2's on there, but then Figure 9 is also on there. And it's like, well, if that's a demo of Figure 9, why would it be listed twice? And we already have a Figure 9 demo from LPU 9.
Yep.
I'm wondering if maybe that was a case of them taking two demos and combining them to kind of make the song that we know. But
Right.
we'll know that for sure once we hear it.
Yeah. That's an interesting tidbit because that throws a little confusion in our end because we're like, well, those are two different songs. But
Yep.
the answer will be revealed on April 7th.
Yep. And then the last two songs are West Side, which we never heard of before, and Resolution, which was actually another one that's on that track board.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's right up at the very top, I think. It's up there
Okay.
with, I want to say like Cumulus is on that list too.
Man, Cumulus is great. And I saw a Twitter comment that said Cumulus had vocals at one time.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
That's a good one. So do you want to talk about Mike? Did you see Mike's TikTok a minute ago?
Yeah. I already forgot
So
like what he was talking.
so Derek asked.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Derek sent Mike a clip and said, "What is this demo?" Because it's a good time to do that because they just looked at the Thoughts That Take Away My Pride clip and confirmed that was lost. Which we didn't need them to confirm it was lost. We just because you can hear it in the clip that it's lost in the Meteora DVD, but you just needed it just needed their reaction to it. And oh, that was the demo lyric from Mike knew the deal immediately, so that was interesting.
Like,
but
stay tuned. So
yeah. So he said, "Stay tuned for that one," and so that's good because that Rob drumming track that's on YouTube and then turned into the Soaring Man instrumental that was fan made with a fan title. It was a pretty cool clip, and it made it pretty far into the sessions, I guess. So that'll be great.
I'm placing my bets on it being Resolution. That's just my gut feeling, but I have nothing to base that on.
Just a good guess.
Yeah. One other thing
that wraps up. Oh,
yeah. Well, one other thing that I don't remember if I made a note to say this, but some people were asking about the Wizard song. So we know that like the Wizard song was just a joke thing that they never properly recorded, but if you take away the vocal part, like there's a track under that had, all the instruments done and everything already. So it was probably some demo that they had already decided that they weren't going to use, and they were just goofing around with it. I'm wondering
if it could be on here.
Yeah, the instrumental version at least.
The instrumental. Yeah, we got to make that clear because I've seen a lot of comments today of people wanting Wizard song. I mean, Chester and Mike have confirmed 1,000 times that doesn't exist. That's not a song. That never was a thing and won't be a thing. It was just a joke.
What you see of the Wizard song on the DVD is what exists. Yeah.
But there is a track there. I don't know how people pull the technology is above my knowledge base, but they pull everything else out of the track except for there's something. But
the AI track separation software is actually getting pretty good these days. It's a lot better than anything I used to have. So
it's cool. So you can actually hear in that YouTube clip that I sent earlier today, you can hear the track underneath Wizard song, and it actually sounds pretty cool.
It's got some fat sounding guitars.
Yeah. So we'll see. If not, no big loss because it probably didn't become anything, but maybe it did. Yep.
Yeah, so that's everything on there.
Should we stop the Instagram live and go live again and do all the live stuff?
Let's cut it here and pick up where we left off.
What a shame that it cuts us. But okay, I'll hit the X and then invite you back.
Okay.
Be right back.
Yep. So now we're on to the DVDs, and there's a lot of cool stuff on here. So the first DVD, it's got The Making of Meteora, which we had on the original DVD. The Art of Meteora, which you were just watching the other day, and you're like, I don't know if I've ever watched this.
Man, I'm sure in 2003 I watched Art of Meteora, but it was like 13 or 14. It's like a mini doc, and so I was like, this is actually something that I have not watched in probably 20 years. So let me write a wiki page on it. So now we have a page on Art of Meteora, which is great timing.
Yeah, and then we have, depending on where you look, we have a new documentary that's either called Work in Progress or
New Fiore Meteora Awesome.
Yeah, that's what it says on the disc. or at least on the stock photo of the disc that's on the website.
The trailer they posted on the Linkin Park social media today says new Fiore Meteora, awesome. But the LinkinPark.com teaser campaign says work in progress. What does it say on the official pre-order site?
It says work in progress on the track listing, but then like when you look at the pictures of the stuff that's in the box, the disc says new Fiore Meteora awesome on there. Maybe it's just both. I don't know.
We'll just call it by both. So Mike today said that that was an hour and a half of footage. Did you listen to what he was talking about with that? Or is he saying it's an hour and a half total?
It says DVD one's 118 minutes, so that's 2 hours. So it's probably not an hour and a half, but it's probably an hour, maybe a little more.
And so he said that that was a mix of live stuff of them on tour, also with some of the extra longer LPTV scenes that we know. Yep. So probably, maybe some people don't know, if you go to the band's YouTube channel and you look up the LPTV series, which is what we would call Series 2, Season 2, the
yep.
first one would be the making of Meteora. And the Series 2, the ones on the band's YouTube are like 2.5 minutes. Well, the longer, at the time when these came out, they came out in the promotion from Minutes to Midnight in March.
They were on April. iTunes.
Yep, April 2007. They were iTunes exclusive. And this was like when the band was doing their big iTunes push. And so those in full, you could buy them on iTunes. And they're like, I don't know, 8 to 9 plus minutes. And sure. They're absolutely great. So I would like to see both of the, like the LPTV season 1, what we call.
Sure.
I'd like to see that posted in great quality sometime in this teaser campaign, because those are pretty cool clips, even though they're shorter. And then also all of these Mark Fiore LPTVs stopping at the Minutes to Midnight.
Yeah. I forget.
So there's a 2006 one, I think, but stopping before that.
Yeah, I forget, because LPTV season 2 was what, like 15 episodes, and I think like the first 5 were Meteora tour stuff.
I think it's longer, so it should start. The first one should be LPU Tour 03, and then at least number 8 is Project Rev 2008. So
I haven't watched these in a million.
I mean, not 2004. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yes, so at least 8 episodes. But anyway, those are in longer forms out there, and they're like maybe 10 or 12 minutes long.
Sure.
But those are really great. And so a lot of content filmed for that put into those is going to be on this new DVD, which is exciting. But I mean, we have them in great quality, unlike the first LPTV season, but it would be nice to see those reissued somehow for Meteora.
Yeah, especially because I don't think they're available anymore on iTunes. I think they've been gone for a while.
That's right. So you could just throw them in a series on the band's YouTube, or put them all in one video. I mean, however you want to do it. I think that's important to at least archive that online.
Yeah. All right, and then we've got live stuff on DVDs 2 and 3, and it's all concerts that we've never seen before.
This could be the best live release I've probably ever seen for. I mean, I'm the biggest fan ever of the Metallica series that they do for everything. Metallica, during COVID, they did the coolest releases of all time. For Linkin Park, this is really something.
Yep. So the first show on DVD 1, it's Philadelphia Veterans Stadium on the Summer Sanitarium tour. It's one of the first shows of the tour. It's like the second or third show. Okay. And we actually do have a short clip of it from. There's a clip of one step. Yeah, there's a clip of One Step Closer. That's on the. It's called the Summer Sanitarium Tailgate Party. It was like an MTV TV special or something.
I just watched that the other day because I was going through what we had from any of these shows.
Yeah.
And like Mike is like interviewing James and Rob from Metallica out there in the parking lot. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
We can post that around the time that comes out, because that's good footage. But all we have is that One Step Closer clip, and it's like potato quality.
Yeah. And then set list wise, it's the same tour as Live in Texas, so it's that set list. The one thing that I would be curious about is if it has the intro.
Man, that's a great intro.
So people that only know Live in Texas like probably don't even realize this. The show didn't actually start with the glass breaking sound from Forward and just launching into Don't Stay like it does on that DVD. they had this intro that they called the Devil Worship intro. It was, it started off with this sound clip. It's actually Alec Baldwin from the movie Cromwell, which is a weird thing to sample, but I don't know. And it leads into this remix of Dead Skin Mask by Slayer that, it's got some beats to it and stuff. And then that would go for, a minute or whatever, kind of a typical show intro thing.
And I had Chester screaming like a pterodactyl just off the back of the stage on
Yep.
that. If you watch any of the fan videos on YouTube from that tour, the screams from Chester on that intro are so cool. It would, royalty wise, I don't know how that would work to get that release. Like you have to, it's probably a good chunk of cash. It may not be worth it, but that is, I mean, we could talk for 3 hours on the band's live intros, but that's one of the best ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also just not very well documented because like there's an official DVD of that tour, but it doesn't have that on it.
Yeah. It's great.
So then scrolling down a bit, the second show on there is from Seoul, South Korea, 2003. And it is the
last show of the Asia tour.
Yep. This is after they went over to Japan and played 3 nights at Budokan. And over the course of those 3 shows, they added My December and Nobody's Listening to the set list.
Yep.
They added one on night 2 and then the other one on night 3. I forget which was which, but then they went to Korea and they kept those on the set list. So we're going to get a pro shot of Nobody's Listening.
Which is, I just found this out because I did a deep dive into these shows the other day. First of all, the Tokyo shows are considered pretty iconic, at least amongst people our age that were involved in that era. But
and those bootleggers over in Tokyo do not fuck around. Like when it comes to recording shows.
Dude, they're like bringing entire recording studios into Budokan for these.
Yeah.
Shows. I mean, those are live releases of their own, just the fan audio.
If you go over to Tokyo and walk into a record shop, like you can literally find these things, these bootlegs, like for sale because they put that much effort into them. They're like actual CDs.
That's how we got them. I mean, same thing all the way up until Summer Sonic 2013 when LP played there. That's how we got all those shows. 06, all those good shows.
Yeah,
and Budokan is so epic. That's a great run. So night 2 they added My December to start the encore, and then night 3 they added Nobody's Listening to the middle of the set. And I believe that is the first time they played the studio version of Nobody's Listening was Tokyo Night 3. Wasn't it extended on Project Rev 03?
Yeah. So Project Rev 03, they would have had the extended version with Exhibit.
Okay. Yep. So that's the first studio version.
My Name. And then you go later into the Meteora tour, they had Mike doing Standing in the Middle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that would be literally the run after Seoul. So Tokyo was epic. We love those shows. I mean, looking at the reason I found the Seoul clips were the Live in Texas TV special. There was some special aired on TV. There's clips of a live Faint compilation. I guess Mark did it, and it has clips from Budokan and Seoul. Budokan looks really great, and that should be a release one day if it exists. But Seoul, I mean, the crowd is mind-blowingly large, and it has the biggest set list. I think I said this the other day. I think it's the longest set that the band had ever played until that point in their career.
Yeah, that sounds about right because, like, Summer Sanitarium, they were playing 17 songs, but they cut most of like the extended intros and stuff off of a lot of them. So the set was still a little shorter.
So that, I mean, Soul that's legit. So if you were going to pick a show from later 03 and you didn't have the Meteora Arena tour in the UK, like London or something, I mean, even if you did, Soul is a great release. Like I'm very excited about that show.
Yeah. It's also, the only pro shot of a full Nobody's Listening.
That's right. I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
That's right, because that song didn't stick around after the arena tour.
Mm-hmm. We got Rock Am Ring has the medley, which has part of it, but we wouldn't have like a full version of it.
Yep, that'll be great. So I'm really looking forward to Soul, and then
Same.
after that we go into '04.
Yeah, and also there's one thing I want to check about Soul. Numb also has this guitar intro to it that Brad did at like 3 or 4 shows and never did again.
I love that. I know it from the Budokan shows.
Yep, yep. I think it was one of those things that he started just messing around with one night and did it for a little bit. Kind of the way they played Pictureboard in '01.
Right. Yeah, that's good. I really like that a lot.
Yeah. So then going on into 2004 on the last DVD, we've got Manila in the Philippines, which is the same leg of the tour as Rock Am Ring.
Right.
It's the same set list. It's like a few days later.
Yeah, I think it's the same, maybe like within a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a very short run. Just a few shows in Europe. You have to make up the Rock am Ring from 2003, which was canceled,
Mm-hmm.
and they stuck that in there. They couldn't do Rock im Park because they had to headline Download Festival, and so
Yeah, that whole leg of the tour was interesting because it was a combination of making up for festivals that they'd canceled the year before, and also playing a couple other places.
Yep, and all those shows are great.
Yeah, yeah, and I believe this was the first time they'd ever been to the Philippines.
Yeah, I'm sure that's right. I'm sure the Meteora era, so Malaysia '03,
Yep.
Philippines '04, Singapore '04, Hong Kong '04, all that.
Yeah, that was the first time they really hit Southeast Asia.
And so there's literally nothing from that show. I don't think I saw even one photo from that show until
Nope.
like 2 days ago.
I had no idea that show had even was filmed. And
I saw on Facebook today that the press in the Philippines have picked that up, that story that show is included in the box set or running with it. So that's pretty
nice.
interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. Also, if I remember right, there was no opening band at that show or anything. Like it was just
That's right.
okay. And it's also
Yes.
an arena show.
I think it's outside.
Was it? I thought there was another.
Hong Kong. Hong Kong's the arena show.
Hong Kong was a. You're right. You're right. Okay.
Hong Kong's the show where the report says they for sure played the Pushing Me Away remix, and we're just like they didn't do that. They didn't do that, but maybe they did.
That would have been. That's one of the great mysteries that we still have, is that supposedly they played the Pushing Me Away remix one time in 2004.
That summer.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem
I
likely.
would bet that they didn't, but
I agree.
yeah.
I think they probably got it mixed up for like the Breaking the Habit intro or just something.
Something. I don't know.
But anyway, we don't have anything from Manila. Don't know anything about it besides it's the same set list as Rock am Ring. And if it comes down to releasing Rock am Ring again, which we
Or
already have,
releasing, hey, we have this other show that's the same set list from the same tour, but you've never seen it. So
yeah, great idea.
And it'll be interesting to see because like there were some reports that when they played in the Philippines, they had to like be on their best behavior, as far as
That's right. Like no baggy pants, no cussing,
no spitting.
Yep.
Dude, I would have such a hard time with that. Like honestly, it's the spitting thing for me because when I play live, especially like if I'm singing a lot, I get so like drooly.
Yeah. Like Chester had to be on his best behavior at that show.
Yeah.
Unlike Nottingham. So we have the best of both worlds. We have unconstrained crazy Chester on Nottingham, and we have the Chester on his best behavior ever, probably ever, at Manila.
Chester had to be a good boy.
Which is the exact opposite again of Project Rev.
Yeah. Dude, my Project Rev show was hysterical. I wish
Funny.
Yeah. What was I just gonna say? Oh, I am curious both for this and Denver, the Don't Stay intro that has the Joan Baez poem over it.
That is the band's greatest live intro of all time.
I absolutely agree.
There's no way anything beats that.
That close second for me is the What I've Done Ambo intro.
God.
Oh wait.
Remember the show when that? I mean, we could do 10 hours live of Instagram, but I mean,
I,
remember the show where it debuted in Germany in '08? I mean, the fan base went so crazy over that show, and it was so epic. But anyway,
yeah. Um, just because that is such a key part. Like it's not like you have this intro and then they start "Don't Stay."
it's like
Like
part of the song.
yeah, like you have the guitar riff. Like you get a little chunk of the guitar riff and then a little longer chunk of the guitar riff. Like it goes in and out. Like it's woven into the intro of the song.
Right.
So I would assume it's there just because I can't imagine how they would edit it if it's not.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. So if it's on Rock and Ring, I
Unless they
would
just
just
like
assume.
abruptly fade in the beginning of the song, but I would think that they probably are okay on that one.
And that's right. And now we're going to get technically three versions with Rock and Ring, Manila, and Denver of that.
Yep.
Now, when we get to Denver, you can talk about the changes.
Yeah, so when they played Project Revolution, a lot of people missed out on this, but the "Don't Stay" intro is actually a little different than it was uh, on the Europe tour or the festival tour, I should say. They added this little bit with like this droning synth and like a bunch of bells and stuff before the poem bit starts.
Yep.
So that's
And then
kind of cool.
also Wish was a little different.
There are a few things that were different on Project Rev actually. So the show that we're talking about, it's if you look on LPLive, it's listed as what, Greenwood Village.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's right outside the city, and
Yeah,
they change like Alpine, East Troy, all that stuff. All these
yeah,
outside the city amphitheaters change the cities all the time, but it's Denver.
yeah. Like or you talk about like Joliet. It's outside of Chicago. It's
Yeah, it's Denver.
yeah. So it's Denver. Just if you're looking on our live guide and you don't see a show that says Denver for that tour, that's why.
Right.
Um,
We'll put the little icon next to it that shows the live release.
yeah. So that tour got uh, the different "Don't Stay" intro. You also got Figure 9 added back to the set list after Somewhere I Belong,
Yep.
which has the just that awesome instrumental transition to From the Inside. Still one of my favorite things they ever did.
This could potentially be the best thing on the box. I mean, we're so biased because it's live material, but that
I,
Figure 9 From the Inside transition is so great.
I like how
People's
I
wanted
didn't
it for so
even
long.
notice until the Camden video leaked that Mike plays guitar on that.
I had no idea. Oh,
Yeah,
because From the Inside.
yep, yeah. Like I knew he had to pick up his guitar at some point, but I didn't think he was playing on the transition there. Um,
Wow. Sometime take a look. There's an Atlanta video where Figure 9 ends and Chester runs off the side of the stage. We can see if Mike grabs the guitar then, but
yeah,
anyway.
yep, yep. And then you get Breaking the Habit has a transition into Numb. So the intro to Numb is also different than the one that you got at Rock Am Ring.
And that Manila will have.
Yeah. Yeah, I call it the Rock Am Ring intro just because out of habit. But
Well, yeah, of course.
um, yeah, and then you get a
They added a
couple other
place for my head
things.
back in.
Yeah, the first couple shows of Project Rev '04 didn't have a place for my head. I don't know if that was just that they were running late or or
Well, remember they added it into they didn't have it to start Europe either. So I think they did Download Scotland and then Download Festival outright and then Rock and Ring. And
yeah,
I
Rock Am
check
Ring.
me if I'm wrong, but yeah,
Yeah,
Rock and Ring had it. But check me if I'm wrong, but I think the Download Scotland, which we don't have a recording of, I think they didn't play a place from my head at that show. They added in for Download outright, then
then
it
took it
stayed,
back out when they got to the States.
took it back out, and then it came back. It's so interesting to think about that because A Place for My Head at that time was such an elite live song. But I mean, the band did play it every single show of the Meteor cycle up until those times they dropped it in
Yeah,
'06. So maybe they were just tired of the song.
I think if they were just like if there's one song we've got to drop to save time, that would be the one. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So you get Place for My Head, Crawling. You'll get the full Crawling intro
Intro.
because that's one thing about the Rock Am Ring TV broadcast is that they shortened it.
That's like the only thing edited out of Rock and Ring.
Yeah, yeah. They cut the break between A Place for My Head and Crawling, and it sort of fades back in.
Yep.
And then Wish is, I mean, you'll notice this if you compare Manila or Rock Am Ring to the LPU4 Wish, but the ending's a little shorter.
Yeah, they changed the jam a little bit on Wish.
Yep. And then One Step Closer has the fireworks and stuff.
Yeah, so does Crawling.
That's right. They did it on Crawling too.
Yep. So they have that on both of those songs. And then talk about the guests.
Yeah. So you'll get Jonathan Davis on One Step Closer. So having a video of that will be cool. We don't have like any recording to confirm this, so this is like a little bit of shaky info, but supposedly that's one of the shows where Snoop Dogg came out on the It's Going Down portion of the hip hop medley.
That's right. I was trying to do a deep dive for that info the other day. All I could find was photos of him at Jones Beach, New York.
Yep.
Guessing on it.
Yeah.
Didn't see anything, but if we have it.
He only did it maybe like 2 or 3 times the whole tour. And I know at least one of them, his mic wasn't working. I remember somebody mentioning that. But apparently he rapped part of Gin and Juice over It's Going Down. And I think Ivan Urban Action Figure is also out there breakdancing too.
If we have it listed, it came from somewhere. We didn't make it up.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it's really there. It came from some fan site back in 2004, so we'll see if it's there.
Yeah. It looks like it doesn't have Bert from The Used on Faint, unfortunately.
That's a shame, but that's my least. If I had to pick, I'd pick Jonathan on.
And there also is that clip on the Used DVD of Bert doing that.
That's right.
So there is footage of that out there.
And we have a great audience recording from the Wisconsin show.
Yeah. The Used on that tour was so weird. Like, they only played like 6 songs. Their set was so short.
Were they on the main stage?
Yeah. They weren't even first on the main stage. They were after Less Than Jake.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, Less Than Jake played a pretty normal length set. Then the Used came out and played for 25 minutes and left.
Got it.
But yeah, so that's all the audio stuff. And then just in terms of the packaging,
those are going to be great.
Yeah, so they tied the packaging together really nice. If you look at the CDs, like if you put all 4 CDs side by side, they make like a bigger Meteora20 like logo. There's a 40-page book. It looks like it's got some of the notes from the band that are in like the Meteora booklet and stuff. There's a big poster of this thing's 2 by 3 feet. Like, it's a big poster of the Meteora art wall.
That'd be great.
There's Delta, or Boris, the guy who's on the cover of Meteora with the spray paint can and stuff. He did a new lithograph piece of art that's going to be in there.
Okay.
There's reproductions of some of the old stickers. There's a stencil. And you get like a download thing. So if you buy the physical thing, you get the digital as well. And yeah, it just all looks really cool.
Looks great. Overall, very impressed with the content. I mean, I couldn't have done it better myself. So.
Yeah. And then just real quick, I wanted to hit on the other editions because there's a couple things to talk about. So if you go to the vinyl box, which I forget how much the vinyl box for Hybrid Theory was. I want to say this one is a little more expensive. It's $90. I thought the Hybrid Theory one was $80.
Okay.
Can't remember. But it follows the same format. So like with Hybrid Theory, you got Hybrid Theory, Reanimation, and the B-sides and rarities. This one you get Meteora, LP rarities, and live rarities. The LP rarities is big enough it's split across 2 discs. So it's kind of.
Why do you think that is a thing with box set? It's probably something outside of just Linkin Park. You think like the label says the fans will buy every single version type of thing, or you think they just want to make unique packages?
They want to give people a reason to buy
the smaller packages.
Yeah. Because
it's something exclusive in them.
Yeah. So like you only get both of the rarities discs are on vinyl in that set, but they're not on vinyl in the big box set.
Okay.
And then actually you get something special on just the CD version too. You get Meteora, and it's the same thing as the vinyl set. It's Meteora and both of the Rarities discs, except there's a bonus track on Meteora. It's the original Andy Wallace mix of Lost from 2002, which, given that it was a finished song and Andy mixed the album, I'm not expecting that it would have like different lyrics or anything, but it's probably, I'll say this about Lost, like I can tell that it's a mix that was done more recently because the guitars are a lot quieter.
Right.
It's a lot more modern sounding, whereas I bet you Andy's mix, the guitars are like just huge and up in your face, because that was kind of his thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So probably more of a rockier sounding mix that fits more with the vibe of Meteora. I'll say that it being a bonus track and being right after Numb is kind of funny because Numb, Mike said that he thought that that was the song that they kind of picked over Lost.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, the way he put it was like if you were to draw like a cut line where everything below the line is what didn't make it on the album, that Lost was like the first thing below it. And I can kind of see that it sort of has a similar vibe to Numb in some ways. It honestly, with how like kind of it's got like these bubbly sounding synths on it and stuff, it sort of reminded me of Across the Line.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Across the Line is such a gem. I mean, we'll talk about that with Minutes to Midnight, but that is such a great track.
I know. I remember just how up in arms people were like, you put No Roads, or you left No Roads Left and Across the Line off the album, but you put In Between on the album. I don't know.
It's so hard when Mike says the phrase that he says a lot about fans think there's some gem, Linkin Park gem, that's unreleased sitting on a hard drive. And then my thoughts immediately go to No Roads Left, even though it was available the day the album came out as the iTunes bonus track. Didn't make the album. Across the Line sat there for years,
for
2.5 years.
2.5 years, yeah.
And that song is as elite as they could possibly be.
That might be like a top 5 Linkin Park song for me, honestly.
And me too. I love Across the Line. And I'm just like, he was right about Picture Board not being the greatest song of all time. And then
good.
Lost, yeah, it's fine. And then Lost is middle of the road, whatever. It's it's good, it's fine, but it's not like, it's not Across the Line. But my thoughts always go back to, well, they left Across the Line off a Minute to Midnight.
Like and kind of where I sit with this is like there are a lot of people that will swear up and down that all of the demos are better than the album versions. I don't really agree with that in most cases.
Yeah, that almost never happens.
But Across the Line is so good.
Yeah, it really is.
So anyway, I guess I just wanted to wrap up here some stuff that we would have liked to see or some other things. So Meteor has always kind of been a tricky one to plan out. Like even after Hybrid Theory 20, I was thinking about like, oh, what shows could they include on this? And there's a lot more live stuff from Meteora than there was from Hybrid Theory, as far as like professional recordings go. And that was even just the ones we knew about. Stuff that I would have liked to see, a Project Revolution 03 show would have been kind of cool.
Okay.
Because especially that's more for the guests, because I think just about everything from that tour
is released in some form on this.
Sure, but you got stuff like Exhibit on Nobody's Listening. You'd have Christian from Blindside on Pushing Me Away.
Oh, and yeah. Chad from Mudvayne on One Step Closer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did that. He wasn't at every show, but he was at some of them, I think. Mm-hmm. And then we know that Smoke Out 2003 exists. I don't think the band owns the footage. I think that Eagle Vision Records still has that locked down, but I'm confident that we'll get that one of these days. I don't know when or how, but
yeah, that'll probably come out. And that's that epic paper cut start to the show. Thank goodness whoever was looking at that footage years ago, posted the Breaking the Habit live debut video from that show.
Yeah, that's the first performance of Breaking the Habit. That's kind of the big deal from that show.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. And it's in the rain. I mean, that is pretty iconic.
Yeah. And then the Meteor World Tour arena shows from the US, again, like nothing set list wise that we don't get anywhere else on this box, but the stage on that tour was so cool.
Yeah, man. I agree. The Meteor Arena tour was so good, and
Is that was the stage where they had like the big ramps going up off of either side of the stage that went up to the audience, like in the seats.
yeah, that's it. And they utilized it all the time. And they had Mike's grand piano out there for Breaking the Habit. Chester jumped off of the piano and from the inside, had the epic encore.
Yeah.
But
Mike's grand piano that wasn't actually a grand piano. It was just his keyboard in a grand piano case. Cause
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, the keyboard parts on Breaking the Habit are strings, so.
Oh yeah, no, okay, I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
that's a real common thing that when a lot of times in the touring industry, when you see somebody playing a grand piano on stage, it's actually just a keyboard built into a grand piano case that's hollowed out.
Got it.
Because an actual grand piano is so heavy and hard to move around.
Yeah, so it would have been. That's the thing. So I've harped on this for years, where I'm like, there's. The only problem that you can ever encounter with releasing live footage from Meteora is there are so many amazing shows and and they change the set list every tour almost.
Yep.
And leaving something off was inevitably going to happen. I mean, no matter what you put on Meteora20, there's going to be some live show that didn't make it. Now, I'm 12 out of 10 ecstatic about the 4 live shows. It's 6 live shows that we got. I mean, they're grand slams. But one day, it would be nice for that '04 arena tour to have something.
Yeah, I agree. And then just other stuff that was left off. We talked about how LPU3 it's there technically because it's part of Live in Texas. The LPU5 tracks, I will say it'd be kind of cool to see them release that just because it's got the public service announcement intro with Jay-Z, because they only did that one time.
Yeah, it kind of like, I don't know. It's hard to classify where that fits in the band's time. Obviously, we know it's '05, but
Sure. And then we obviously didn't get anything with Collision Course, which we talked about this a bit earlier, but just to recap, that I think it would be, anytime you're doing any of the Collision Course stuff, like the rights on Collision Course, if you look on the CD, like it's Warner, it's Rockefeller, it's MTV, like different entities all kind of control part of that, and it's probably a headache to include it on other releases. Not that they couldn't do it, but it would just be more
easier to say, oh, here's Manila.
Yeah. We don't actually get the Live in Texas DVD here, which we just get the audio, but I mean, Live in Texas is out. You can still go buy it,
Yeah. And so refresh me, was Frat Party wasn't in Meteora20, was it, or was it?
It was, yeah.
It could have been maybe filler content since there wasn't enough live material, maybe.
Well, also Frat Party had been out of print for a while by that point.
That's right.
But I think Live in Texas you can still go find.
Right. And that's and it's on the band's YouTube as well.
Yeah, that too. And then the only other thing we kind of missed out on is we didn't get any video of Hit the Floor or Easier to Run.
Yeah, so if you sit here and say, on one hand, you want to Hit the Floor and Easier to Run videos, well, you have to put a show in that has those. So either you put Project Rev 03 or LPU Tour 03, but then you lose something. So Philadelphia would probably be the one thing that you could lose, but then, I mean, it's just a give or take. What exists? What do they have? And then if you put Detroit in there in full, you have most of that show already, and that would be the show with video of those 2 songs.
Sure.
or you could get Philadelphia, which has never been seen.
Is it's like Nottingham, where you're just adding a couple more songs. And I'm happy that we got audio of both of them. Like
that'll work.
That's substantial, and there's that edited, like, easier to run video that's out there. That's from LPU tour, and then there's a few bootlegs of Hit the Floor. I remember for some reason, like, both of the shows that we have video of where they played Easier to Run, either they stopped recording before Easier to Run, or like they had to switch tapes or something. Like, we just didn't get it. But yeah, there's video out there that exists for both of those. It would have been nice to get something.
How about an upgrade in quality of the LPU4 Easier to Run to put on the band's YouTube?
Yeah,
channel? That would be nice.
There's also that video of Figure 9 that was on there.
Oh man, that video is literally in potato quality. I mean, of course, in 2004, that's what you had to do, but
sure.
But wow, yes, both of those live tracks. Just make a playlist for those videos and toss them up.
Yeah, if we could get them to find those and post upgrades of them on YouTube, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that solves the whole thing, and then you're good to go.
And then the only other question that comes up, I see some people talk about QWERTY and stuff, and like why that's not on here, or why Summer Sonic isn't included here. What it really comes down to is, do you consider 2006 part of Meteora? And it kind of is, but it's also, I think of 2005 being more Meteora, but like by 2006 they're in the middle of recording Minutes to Midnight.
Right.
And QWERTY was released, both versions that we got were on LPU 6, which it was before Minutes to Midnight. It falls in a weird time.
Yeah.
But I would say it fits more that QWERTY was a song that they recorded 4 Minutes to Midnight that just didn't make it, that it should be on that set instead of this.
Yeah. My fear is that
they'll skip over it and not do it.
Man, that Summer Sonic Tokyo show in 06 is so elite. I'm a little concerned. I mean, you can't really even put it with Meteora either, though. But I'm concerned that since it doesn't have any Minutes to Midnight songs, that it could get skipped for some great Minutes to Midnight era stuff, which, I mean, I'm sure there's epic shows.
All I'll say is Minutes to Midnight better have Rock Am Ring 07 on it. If it doesn't, we riot.
So that's another thing. So if you were to put Rock Am Ring 04 on here, you could hypothetically have 3 releases in a row with Rock Am Ring, which is probably overkill. I mean, is it deserving? Yeah. Is it kind of weird also? Yeah. So Rock Am Ring 07 has got to go on the Minutes to Midnight one, yes.
Anybody who's watching this, just go look up the Rock Am Ring 07 video of Faint.
And One Step Closer.
And One Step Closer. Yeah, those two specifically.
The first and last song of the show. That's all you need to see. The first song, the last song, there's Rock Am Ring.
Yeah, so imagine like a show that's recorded in just as good, if not better quality than 04, but it's at night. So you get like all the lighting effects, and there's people like burning bonfires in the crowd and stuff.
Dude, there really are.
Yeah.
There are fires in the middle of the crowd.
Yeah, it's nuts. And
that show was streamed in 07, like the Portugal show.
Yeah.
That would have been elite status immediately.
Yeah, that Portugal show was cool, but the quality of the stream wasn't that great.
Yeah, there's a lot of great minutes. I mean, we could talk for days, but there's a lot of great Minutes to Midnight ones. You can throw the Clarkston on there and then go from there. I mean, there's a lot of great shows.
Yep. All right. So, yeah.
Anything else from Meteora20 Lost?
I'm just looking forward to it. What'd you think of the Lost video?
I thought it was a great idea. I saw Mike said something about there was some backlash about the AI or something.
Yeah. Well, it was just that when they like first released it, they didn't really clarify how the AI on it worked. Like the problem a lot of people have with AI art is that it's trained by looking at other art and then kind of reproducing what it sees, but like creating like derivative work. So it's kind of like it's a questionable ethical thing of like, is it ripping off other stuff? But in the case of the video for Lost, all the footage that's on there is either footage the band had already of them. So like, if you look through it, there's a lot of footage of Live in Texas and stuff from their other music videos. And then there's the anime art that I forget the name of the company already that did the video, but they made some anime stuff that's part of the video. And then the AI took the live footage, or live, I say like not drawn footage, like, and it was trained on the anime stuff that was already made for the video. And then it just kind of translated the other footage so it all matched up and looked like it was sort of from the same thing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't looking at anything else other than the footage they were giving the AI algorithm. So it was all their stuff that it was being trained on.
Yeah. It's good, man. I mean, there's throwbacks in there to the Meteora art wall. There's throwbacks to Live in Texas, the Breaking the Habit video, all sorts of stuff.
I want to know why there's that one shot from the Fine music video.
It's like a little teaser clip, I'm sure. Just a little nod. They put like Easter eggs and things sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's really good. I thought it was. I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do in an era where you need to put out a music video for a song with Chester on it? I mean, first of all, the Breaking the Habit video from that era with the drawings. I mean, that is such an iconic video and popular video and representative of the era. And then also on top of that, Chester's look at the Live in Texas DVD is like the signature Chester look for Meteora. And so you combine those two big themes and then, upgrade technology with the AI and you throw a little new plot in there. It's a great idea for a video. I thought it was fantastic. It's blowing up on YouTube. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah. And also, it's not like there's plenty of footage of Chester, but it's not like you have footage of him singing this song.
Yeah, you don't want to do something where you take 1,000 clips of Chester and Live in Texas and edit it together to make it look like he's singing. That's a little morally that's not okay.
If you want to see an example of that, go look up the Nirvana music video for "You Know You're Right." Because
I know that video. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, it's just a whole bunch of live footage of them, and they'll get close-ups of his face where he happens to be like just the shape of his mouth sort of matches the word he's saying at the time.
I want to talk about drama releasing a song. That is headquarters of all drama of all time.
That was such a mess.
We're so grateful that there's no drama getting Linkin Park stuff out. So
yeah,
video's a smash hit. I love it.
Yeah. And then I guess the only other thing to talk about, I mean, this is really a Meteora20 thing, but we also got some info about Mike having stuff coming out.
Right.
Yeah, so he's got a song called "In My Head" that's going to be on the Scream 6 soundtrack. And that's going to be coming out at some point in the next few weeks. And then also, he might actually have 2 songs on there because there's a registration for a song with Demi Lovato, actually, called "Still Alive," and Mike's a songwriter listed on it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, who had that on their bingo card for 2023? Mike and Demi Lovato.
That's why he said in the K-Rock interview, songs that he produced, songs that are under his name, and Linkin Park songs. That's why he said, "Oh, okay, it all makes sense now."
Yeah, but as far as I know, both of those are for the Scream soundtrack. Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe the one with Demi Lovato is something that he just wrote or produced, and then she sings on it, whereas the other one is like a song that's actually like his thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you would like to see for the Meteora promo or anything leading up to the album?
I really hope they do another band reacts to a live show kind of thing.
Absolutely.
I think if they're going to use Rock Am Ring for anything, I feel like that would be a good one. That'd be a good way to use it.
That's like the elephant in the room, right? So
yeah.
if you're gonna do a bands react video, that's just my take on it. But if you agree, that's the show.
Yeah, I mean that. It's also there's that clip from LPTV where like you wouldn't think this from watching the show because it's like one of their best performances. Like they're all just like on the money, but most of the band was super sick on that tour.
That's right.
They all had like food poisoning or something,
Yeah, Chester had
stomach
it.
flu. Chester going,
Yeah,
4 of the 6 of us have a case of LAS, leaky ass syndrome.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, that's the show to do it. I mean, if they were to come out and say, "Oh, we're going to do a bands react video to the arena tour or Project Revo 3 or LPU tour," I would say absolutely great. You know, a show that we don't have. But
Yeah.
it seems like, I mean, Rock and Ring, that's like the most famous Linkin Park show that's not live in Texas, you know.
Yeah.
So that would be really nice to see something like that. If they don't choose Rock and Ring, I don't really care as long as it's not a show
Yeah.
in the box set.
Mhm.
And then you could just post that show on their YouTube page and call it a day. It would be cool to see Rock and Ring posted on their YouTube page after that, though.
Yeah, I'd like to see it posted somewhere in like an official capacity. Um,
Whatever they choose, I do think they should do a bands react video just because it was so funny the first time.
yeah, I'm also hoping because remember that trailer for Hybrid Theory 20 and how epic it was. I'm hoping there's like some kind of promo trailer for this. It was the one that they
So
got. Was it like Rob's cousin or something like that?
no. It was Anna Shinoda's dad, right? Bill
Anna's
Berg
dad. That's what it
Hillinger, and
was.
It's Anna Hillinger Shinoda, right?
Yeah.
I could be completely wrong, but wrong on the name. But I do know that there's a relation to Anna Shinoda there,
Yeah. It's.
Mike's wife.
You're right. You're right. Okay.
Man, that trailer was so epic the day that that came out. I mean, it blew up, and there, you know, you could talk for days on how epic the crawling reanimation intro is, and the rewinding, the logos, the nod to Chester with the logo. I mean, all of that was so cool, and the clips from the shows and the videos. I was really, to be honest with you, really looking forward to seeing a Meteora trailer today. That's 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. I'm hoping there's still one that comes out.
It would be great.
Sometime next week or whatever.
I think he did the making of the Meteora DVD too. I could be wrong, but I think that's the name on the, unless it's Mark Fiore, but
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know how to look that up easily, or else I would do it right now. But I think type in Bill Berg dash Hillinger. I think he did the Meteora DVD
Maybe. Let me see.
because he filmed Project Rev 02 or like direct, however,
Yeah, Bill
produced.
Berg Hillinger. He was the director of making a Meteora.
Okay, so he's the guy. That's the guy you want to do a Meteora trailer. So
Yeah. He was also one of the production people on Frat Party.
wow. I didn't know there was any relationship to any of that through the band's history until Mike's wife posted something on Twitter after the Hybrid Theory 20 trailer dropped, and I was like, "You're related?" You know, I was like, "What?"
Oh,
Because I don't follow any personal life band stuff. So I
he's
don't
done
know
some
any
other
of
cool
that.
stuff too. He's done Green Day's Awesome as Fuck DVD.
Wow.
He did what else? The Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers Running Down a Dream DVD.
Okay,
Yeah, he's done a few other things, mostly Linkin Park stuff. But
that's cool. Someone's gonna send this to him or someone like that and be like, "These guys didn't even know that. You know,
yeah,
for 20 years they didn't know that." Well, we really didn't know that.
yeah, Bill, what are you doing? Make us a trailer.
Yeah, if you're watching this, we'd love a Meteora trailer. That's literally the only thing from this whole thing that
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see that I didn't see. Otherwise, everything was fantastic.
Cool. All right, Mark. Well,
I think we covered it.
yeah, I think we did. Yeah, just looking forward to getting the stuff and hoping everything goes more smoothly than it did with Hybrid Theory. You know, because we had the issues with stuff having to get replaced, and just keep my fingers crossed that things go a little bit more smoothly this time around.
I'm confident they'll nail it this time.
Yeah. All right.
So, last question is: are you looking forward more to the lost demos or the live shows?
I'm gonna
An
say
impossible question.
I think I'm gonna say the demos just because honestly I don't know what to expect. Like the shows, I don't know what to expect in terms of it just being stuff that I haven't seen, but I've seen those songs and I've seen other performances of those songs from those tours for the most part. Um, but literally everything after Lost on the the demo CD, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's like it's almost as if we're getting a brand new album,
Yeah.
but just from the Meteor era.
Actually,
Um,
before we go, I'm gonna scroll through the chat a little bit and see if there's any.
yeah, look for a question. The very last thing I'm going to say related to the Meteor content is I think Soul is the underrated gem here. I think that show, just based on the 4 seconds of clips that I saw the other day, that show has the potential to be way better than Live in Texas because of the crowd. The crowd is a stadium show.
Sure.
All right, what are you finding in the comments?
Uh, Somebody's saying, "Hey, it's been a long time since you posted a guitar cover." Yeah, I know. I'm working on it.
Yeah, someone agrees with the demos. Absolutely, demos. Yeah, it seems the general consensus is the demos.
I keep seeing someone, they post this a few times. Meteor, a Playboy cover with them posing with their instruments covering their privates.
Oh my God.
This isn't Red Hot Chili Peppers, guys.
Shout out to the Woodstock documentary.
Yeah.
Minutes to Midnight 20th anniversary. Favorite songs on the album? Yeah, what are your favorite Meteor? We have like 7 minutes. What do you like on
Yeah.
Meteor? What do you not like on Meteor?
So I've been pretty vocal about the fact that Meteor didn't age as well as some of the other stuff with me, but
Oh yeah, you're a hunting party guy, right?
I'm a hunting party guy, yeah.
Those don't exist in the wild.
No, there's not that many. Well, they all got hunted down. You know, the dude with the bow and arrow. Yeah, Meteor. I will say that most of Meteor are songs that I would probably skip. The handful that I don't are still
Goodness gracious.
are my
That's
favorite.
brutal. That's a brutal review of Meteor there.
Well, so here's the thing. It's like I've heard Somewhere I Belong a million times, but I will always listen to Lying From You if it comes up. Or
yeah, man, Lying From You is the jam.
Or From the Inside, or I really like Figure 9. I think that one's probably, I don't know. Some people think it's the best song ever. I just really like it. I don't have like a great reason why I like it so much. I just do.
What do you not like?
You know, I never thought Don't Stay was super great. It's a great live song. It's a great way to open a show. But I never really liked it on the record that much. I used to not like Nobody's Listening, but I actually have liked that one more lately. I don't know why, but that one's kind of come back around. It's like, this song's better than I remember it being. I got so sick of Numb being played as much as it did in 2003.
Numb was not added even to the show until the summer, right?
Right, but like once it was released as a single, and it was just like, I don't know. I think it was that combined with like there was the Numb Journals thing on LinkinPark.com, and like you couldn't escape Numb for like a good chunk of like the second half of 03. And I got burnt out on that song. And the only other one that I don't really like is Hit the Floor. Just I've never cared for that song.
Okay.
But I mean, most of the rest of the stuff I say it hasn't like aged well for me. It's not that I hate it. It's just that I'm just kind of like, eh.
Got it.
Although I will still, shred my vocal cords singing along to it sometimes in the car.
Meteor for me, definitely my favorite album. That was like when things really blew up. So
well, it's when you and I both got into the community. So like I was always going to have kind of an attachment to it for that.
Yeah.
Because I remember like you were this little 12-year-old kid.
That's right.
That came out of nowhere, and me and Jeff and Josh and all those guys that had been around for a little bit longer were like, who's this kid?
That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, good album. Don't Stay, Lying from You, Breaking the Habit, all great tracks.
Breaking the Habit's great. I have a hard time listening to Breaking the Habit. It's a little bit of a rough one to listen to, knowing that it's about Jester.
Yeah.
But
I would like to see the band talk a little bit more about the songs themselves on the album, not necessarily just B-sides or anything like that. Just, a little bit more about Breaking the Habit and stuff.
Yeah.
But we'll see. There's some questions at the bottom, but I think we went over them. Like we said, Live in Texas in full in audio for the first time ever. 90-minute work in progress. There's going to be extra LPTV stuff and a lot of stuff that we've never seen.
I've seen a couple people like theories that like he's of what Mike would be teasing, saying that it's a good time to be a Linkin Park fan.
We talk about it a lot off the stream, but I don't know what to say on the stream.
I never really know what to say to this, other than he said that touring is not like in the plans right now. My thoughts on like Linkin Park releasing new music is it could literally be a thing where they could drop a song tomorrow, or they could never drop another song again, and I would be just as, either one wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that's about where I'm at.
Yeah.
Would it be very nice to see them drop some music? Absolutely. I mean, nobody would be a bigger fan. If they don't, I completely understand. So whatever happens, we're still here.
I do think that it'd be cool if like they did some kind of like back when they had the LPU summits, like just there hasn't really been a big gathering type thing for the community in a long time.
Dude, we gotta have something for Meteora. This is the time to do it. Like the world's back open. I mean, this in-person event, I mean, that's what you do for this. You have to do that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just hoping they do some cool, and I'm still curious like what LPU is going to do to tie in with it, because they delayed LPU specifically because of all this stuff. So
yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, I'd love an LPU CD with some live stuff if they don't want to do more demos.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think we're gonna get kicked off.
Yeah, it's about 8:00. So, all right, let's wrap this up. Thanks for watching, guys. Mark, always good to see you.
Always great. Talk to you later. I guess we'll throw this on our YouTube page, and then if we need to do another one when it comes out, we're good.
Sure. All right.
Have a good one.
Bye.